All units please report to the Hyde Park station immediately.
Yeah. Oh man, conceptually, the idea of having the highest donation incentive be okay, and I'll spend some time learning the language Foggill is just
Live.
yeah.
Are we live?
Are we live? Hold on, I'll go over to the other window. We are live. Hey.
Hello.
All right. So, hello everyone. I'm Jan Misali from the YouTube channel Jan Misali. I'm a video essayist, and I do so many other things. This is the game 5D Chess with Multiverse Time Travel. I'm here with Mashley. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Mashley. I run the Blaseball Cares Twitter. I recognize a lot of you probably don't know what Blaseball is right now. It's an internet absurdist sport simulator. That's
Sport.
about sport. Excuse me. Yes. That's about all you need to know. We are raising money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness today, and I know nothing about 5D chess.
Well, that's okay, because 5D chess with multiverse time travel is really it's incredibly simple extension of chess into, now the title is misleading, it is only 4-dimensional. It adds 2 extra dimensions to the normal game of chess, and it does that by introducing time travel and parallel universes. So let's just start up a quick game here, playing against a weak AI opponent on a standard board. So here we have just a normal chessboard. And if you're familiar with the rules of chess, all pieces move the same way they normally would move. So, like, pawns can move 2 moves forward on their first turn. Knights move in 2 units one way and 1 unit in a perpendicular direction. It's exactly analogous, but in addition to being able to move across the board through space, we also have time, right? So this is an extra dimension that exists to the game, where time is another direction. And right now, of course, everything's 2 blocked pieces. There aren't any pieces here that really can travel through time, except for knights, which can jump over pieces. Actually, yeah, I'm going to have a knight travel back in time just to show what this does. So here, this knight is able to travel 2 units in one direction, and then 1 unit in a perpendicular direction. In this case, that perpendicular direction is back in time. So if we do that, this is the first time it's happened since starting up this game, so it's going to show a quick cutscene showing what that is. And this has created a parallel universe in which this branching timeline, there are now 2 knights. And over here in the timeline we left, there is only 1 knight. So let's submit that move. So now we have 2 parallel universes going on. Let's move this knight over there. And now there are 2 parallel active boards. And now this introduces the 5th dimension to the game. The 3rd dimension is, quote, unused. But in the 5th dimension is these parallel universes. So pieces can travel between 2 parallel universes. For example, this pawn can move they can only move forwards, of course. So this pawn can move into the parallel universe, and that is the other dimension to this game. So the way pieces move through space-time is 100% analogous to the way that they move in space across the board normally. Okay. So pawns can only move forwards, which means that they cannot travel back in time. That's a backwards move. And when they're traveling between parallel universes, they can only move up in a parallel universe. For example, I can't move this pawn back to where it came from because that would be a backwards move.
Okay.
Are you following? Because there's a lot of confusing concepts.
I think I'm following so far.
Great. So let's just clear some space so I can show some more stuff. Let's do this. Great. So now what we have, so here we have, so I'm just going to show this bishop, right? So bishops move diagonally, and what moving diagonally means, according to this game's interpretation of it, is it's the combination of any 2 orthogonal directions. Okay. So that could be 2 orthogonal directions across the board, or it could move in a straight line in space, right? It can move one to the right and one back in time, and that's the combination of one unit in two perpendicular directions. Or it can move one up and okay, it can move one back in time and then up one parallel universe, and that's a diagonal move through space-time.
Okay.
So this is a bishop traveling diagonally through space-time, and that's a legal move for a bishop in 5D chess.
Okay. Is there any strategic value to swapping between dimensions?
Well, the main thing that you would want to create a branching timeline for is if you're in a dangerous situation and you want to escape into the past to create so that you can change the past and create a situation that's more advantageous for you. But the problem is, of course, you don't actually change the past; you just create a new branching timeline, and you now need to deal with those timelines coexisting. But the ability to use this to escape out of a dangerous situation is the main thing it adds. The other thing it adds is that one of the main mechanics in chess, checkmate. Checkmate isn't so much about capturing pieces, it's about threatening to capture pieces, right? And the fact that time travel and traveling between parallel universes exist means that the ability to threaten a piece with capture extends to far more situations than it otherwise would. For example, a queen can move in any straight line, which means any combination of orthogonal directions, which means that the queen is actually extremely powerful in terms of her ability to hop between timelines and travel through time. And there happens to be a straight line between the two queens. Now there's pawns here, right? But if the pawns are moving around throughout the course of the game, the queen can, traveling in a straight line through time, through space-time, capture the other queen because they're at the starting position a straight line away from each other, if you're not careful with moving these pawns that are right in front of the queens.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, feel free to ask any follow-up questions about anything, because there is a lot to this game. But everything about it is 100% analogous to the way it works in normal flat chess.
So the pieces have all the same movement, but instead of just being able to move up and down, left and right, they can also move between timelines and back in time.
Right, and moving back in time creates a branching alternate timeline. And the game ends if any king in any timeline at any point in time is threatened with capture with no means of getting out of it. Which is just an extension of what checkmate means, right?
Right.
Here, I'm going to click on this queen so I can just show you where she can go right now. So the queen can travel pretty far. One of the places she can go is back here, right? That's one of the places she can go, and that's a straight line path because she's going back. What's the path she's taking? So she's going back in time 1 unit, up 1 parallel dimension, back in time 1 unit, up 1 parallel dimension, but also at the same time she's going up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay. So that is a straight line through space-time, and that's a legal move. I'm not going to make that move though because it wouldn't be that great, but that is something she could do.
Huh.
Yeah. So and it's exactly as simple as it sounds. It's once you get the hang of it, there is like a lot of intuition that you can develop for it. But the weird thing is that the type of intuition that you need to develop is so fundamentally different from the sorts of intuitions that you would normally need to have. Here. Okay, so this knight is putting my king in check. Let's see if there's any fancy things I can do to capture it. Sometimes there's fancy things. Sometimes you can just like... Oh man, I'm not showing the best gameplay here because I did not prep that much, but right, capture the queen.
How do you keep track of all of these dimensions at once?
It really is. It just feels like you're playing 4 games of chess at the same time once once everything starts to get branching out like this. And then you do need to keep track of just the ability for pieces to move between things. Most of the time, I'm just highlighting over pieces and seeing where they can go because it is very hard. It is extremely hard to keep track of all this. Let's see. Let's capture that knight. That's castle. I don't know. Also, I don't know how interesting it'll be if I actually play this game all the way to the end because there's a lot more stuff here. So I'm actually, and we are like halfway through the time that I have. So because I want to show some of the other stuff in this game.
There's more.
Because there's puzzles.
Oh boy.
So one of the things in this game is in order to fully understand the mechanics, there's all these mate puzzles, which are very good at demonstrating the point of the game, I think. So here we have a mate in one puzzle with a rook. Now, if you just look at like the present moment, right? You want to checkmate this king, and all you have is a king and a rook, right? So if you try to get it in check that way, well, it can just move out of the way. If you try to get it in check that way, obviously it can just capture it. So, and those are the only two ways you can get this king in check, right? So it's impossible. But hey, that's not the only place where that king has been. Right? At the start of the game, the king was right there. And if you follow a straight line path, which a rook must move in a straight line path in a single orthogonal direction, there's nothing between the king being there and where that is now. So if you were to move the rook right there, that creates a straight line path through time from the rook to the king. So that would put the king in check. And the king is in the past, and you know they can't do anything from the past. So that would be checkmate. And that's the solution to the puzzle.
So you can checkmate pieces in the past.
Yeah, and that's actually the easiest way to win, right? Because if they're in the past, they can't get out of it. Because so it forces them to have to capture that specific piece. They can't just block it or move out of the way.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking at Twitch chat. They're
do they have any questions?
People are saying, "Whoa, what? Huh?"
Yeah, understandable. It is extremely intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, what even is this one? I don't remember most of these puzzles here. What was this one? I think it was like this. Yeah, it was, right? Because so that the king isn't in check, right? But a knight moves in one direction one way, and one unit one way, and two units in a perpendicular direction. So the knight moves one back in time and then two up, and that's how it would capture the king.
Oh boy. I
Yeah.
feel like I would just get checkmated in the past like so quickly.
Yeah, every time I've like every time you play like against a high level opponent or high level CPU, that is what usually happens. Now, let's do the first bishop puzzle. I'm only doing the first ones because those are ones where I can explain what the solution means. This game is so complicated. Well, it's simple, but complicated in terms of like what the implications of it are and everything. Yeah. So this one, in order to solve it, you need to like figure out what the implications of going diagonally through time would be in this case. So when the king was here, was there, so it would be like, yeah, I think it would be like there. Yeah, right? Because it has to move. I mean, it would have to move like 2 to the right, but also 2 back in time in order to capture the king. So that would be a diagonal move through time.
So I saw a question in chat asking how long you've been playing when you started.
Okay, so I played this game when it first came out, which, oh man, it was, I mean, it feels like it was years ago because it was earlier this year. And I played it for like a month and then got busy with so many other things. So I actually, it was while I was making my video about regular polyhedra. my life was completely consumed by math for like 3 months. But since then, I haven't played it as much, so I'm actually like really out of practice. But I just like remembered that I had played this game, so I have like a month of practice with this game. But I remember the mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part I'm confidently able to explain. I don't remember any of the meta, which is bad.
There's a
which
meta.
means I can't. There is a meta, yeah. I could not show my skills by playing against another human player. I would lose, guaranteed. Oh, here's a maiden one with a pawn. All right. So, I mean, this is just a normal thing, right? I don't think this even uses any time travel mechanics. Yeah, that's boring. The other maiden one with pawn. Yeah, here we go. This was got to use a parallel universe, right? Oh, that one also. This one also doesn't use any time travel mechanics. Just move the pawn across the thing, and all right, pawns are boring, unfortunately. Look at that.
It's starting to click just a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like just getting a feel for it is the way it works, right? Let's see. What is this? I think. Man, I do not remember this puzzle at all. What is this? All right, I'm gonna move this here and see if that's anything. Oh, right, because if I do that, then that, okay. So I actually would need to do that, and also that. Yeah, there we go. So, and yeah, that does a knight's move through time. The other thing that this game has is it has additional like custom boards that you can play on, which show a bunch of different starting positions, and some of these are playing using a bunch of fairy pieces, which have their own custom abilities. So this is one that uses this type of piece called a unicorn. So the way this set, there's this family of additional pieces that have been made for this game. The way a unicorn works, it's like this. It's an extension of the behavior of a bishop, where a bishop can move in any diagonal move, which means that it moves in the combination of 2 orthogonal lines. A unicorn can travel in any triagonal move, which means that it can move in the combination of any 3 orthogonal straight lines. Which means that it cannot just move across the board. As you can see, these pieces have nowhere where they can go. They have to travel through time to travel at all.
Oh, okay.
So you have to start off this game by just moving your king around a bit. But now, it can move one back in time, 1 up, and 1 right, or to the left. And that's a combination of the same distance in 3 orthogonal lines, and that's a triagonal move, and that's how a unicorn has to move. But I'm only showing this because there's also dragons.
Okay.
Now, a bishop moves in a diagonal move, combination of 2 orthogonal lines. A unicorn moves in a triagonal move, combination of 3 orthogonal lines. A dragon only makes quadragonal moves.
Oh no.
Which is a combination of 4 orthogonal lines.
My head's already hurting a bit.
They need to travel the same distance in all 4 dimensions at once in order to move.
Okay.
Which means they can only move back in time and across parallel universes, and that's the only way they can move. Playing a game with them, see, even though they could travel back in time, that's not enough. Playing a game with them is I've never completed a game that involves them, but you need the presence of a parallel universe at all. So okay, so it can move in a parallel universe and then into the future, or into the parallel universe and into the past. And it has to do both, and also move in a diagonal move in space, because it can only move in quadrigonal moves, and I think the only reason it exists is for that pun.
Yeah.
There is no fun game mechanic here. It's just the pun in the name, and you have to accept the beauty of that. There's other ones. What even is a brawn? I feel like I think the brawn was added between when I quit playing, when I was making the polyhedra video, and now.
Oh, updates to chess.
Yeah, they keep adding new stuff in this. It's getting regular updates, which is nice.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. I should read what they do instead of trying to figure it out. Hold on. Let's hear some exciting reading action. The brawn is an alternate interpretation of brawn. Okay, any diagonal that has a forward direction and does not include any backward direction. Okay, so it's just a generalization of a pawn that behaves slightly differently. Okay, that makes sense.
So I think we had a question in chat about how castling works.
Yes. So I think theoretically castling could work across alternate timelines, but not on the standard board. Castling. So okay, let's do. I'm gonna play against myself for a bit, just so I can force castling to be possible. So the way castling works, right? It only actually can function if there's something like this, where the king and rook both haven't moved yet, and there's nothing between them. And I don't think it's possible for there to be a straight line with nothing there between a king and a rook across dimensions or through time. Because if it's through time, right, the king and the rook would need to be standing on the same tile, and for them to be there, either the king or the rook will need to have moved at some point. However, I think theoretically it could be possible with some non-standard starting position. I don't know if any of the ones included allow that. Again, I'm not familiar with all the updates that they've added, but that's a great question.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh man, this one's called Timeline Invasion. So this one, the kings start on on different timelines. So in order to attack the other king, you need to you need to move through the other timeline in order to attack them at all. But at the start of the game, you know, they're in completely different universes.
Okay, so that's like alternate boards that you were mentioning, non-standard boards.
Oh, I'm still playing against myself. There's so many of these.
Wow.
Which is incredible. I think at one point, they've since patched this, which I think is disappointing. But the very small board, at launch, there was this exploit that I discovered where the knight and bishop at the start were in, like, they were swapped from where they are in this version, which means that you could move the knight from there to there and just instantly win.
Oh. Probably good they patched that.
Yeah, they did patch it out. But that was how I racked up all of my wins in the early meta, was I just played on this board against random people and just did that.
I love the idea of a chess meta.
Oh yeah, well, chess meta has been developed. Normal chess meta, right, has been developed over hundreds of years now, right? And now all the chess meta is trying to come up with, like, ways of being good against computers and stuff. But the chess meta has been developed very heavily, and has pretty much settled in on one or two specific styles of play. But for this game, the meta hasn't been developed very much at all, because the community is relatively small compared to normal chess. And also most people haven't heard of this chess variant, and people who have, it's like so intimidating at first. That this one's called excessive. What is that? Oh, this is excessive.
We probably have time for about one more board before we wrap up.
Yeah. Let's go back to puzzles. Let's go to a puzzle. Let's go to Tricky Checkmates 1. Okay. All right, we're gonna solve this puzzle and then stop. Okay, that's the plan.
Okay.
So the bishop needs to get somewhere. Well, maybe the bishop, or maybe it's one of the pawns, needs to get somewhere where it will be a diagonal move away from where the king is now. I think if I put it there. No, it isn't. I'm not going to try to solve this puzzle. We only have 2 minutes. Hey, thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on the stream.
Thanks for putting up with my lack of material. I should probably promote a thing because I have an album coming out at midnight EST. It's called Disambiguation. It's going to be streaming on my YouTube channel. The premiere is going to be up pretty soon-ish. Be sure to check that out, and also make sure to donate. Donate. It's for a good cause.
Check out that album. You said midnight EST?
Yeah, it's midnight EST. It's called Disambiguation, like the thing they put at the end of Wikipedia article. There's 2 things with the same name.
So that's right at the end of our stream. So everyone, as soon as we're
done, as soon as the stream's over, go over to my channel,
over to
Young
YouTube.
Misali.
Subscribe also.
Well, but more importantly, donate.
Well, subscribing is free, so do that too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, this has been great. This has been fun. Thanks for having me.
We decided to invite you instead of B. Gilson.
Oh man, yeah, that guy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.